a book called Tiny Habits as well. It's about, and it addresses the same thing, but it's about, I think Stephen Covey, when he wrote the book, also thought about, it's about having a framework for making small, consistent change. And that's what being proactive is about
Mhm.
as well. And especially in the time to in now, don't expect that the world or you can just turn around the situation. It's about radical acceptance of where you are, but then proactively trying to move away from that. And don't be discouraged also when you sometimes go backwards, but then you learn something and then be proactive of that learning you had and move forward. Because we are in a total paradigm shift. And he talks about that in the book as well. Like when things change dramatically, paradigm shifts in your lives are happening, and we all impacted
Uh-huh.
in somehow with the pandemic. Everybody has an experience here, and everybody has something, especially in our industry where there's massive paradigm shifts happening. I don't think we even understand what's happening yet. We are in the middle of this hurricane. We're standing in this middle of the eye right now, and there's still a couple of waves of surprises probably coming up ahead that's going to influence both, owners, employees,
Yeah.
stakeholders, investors, and we need to remember, I think Albert Einstein said that we can't solve the problems we are standing, the big problems we're standing or against right now with the same kind of thinking we created them with. So we have to unlearn and learn so much new stuff right now, and that takes a lot of proactivity to learn new stuff and leave old things behind,
Yeah.
identities and whatever it is.
Yep. Yeah. Uh, One of the things I've talked a lot about on the show, and I know you and I have had these conversations offline before, is in the hospitality context. There's things within the industry that we all collectively know are broken. They don't work very well, and that conversation has now been going on for the better part of a year. What we need to move the conversation towards, I think, is starting to define what we want those things to look like going forward. And that's where this, and I'm trying to make a clever segue here. I don't know if it's working. But that's where this second habit comes in, about beginning with the end in mind.
Yeah.
You can't know where you're going if you don't know what your destination is. We used to use this example in talking about process improvement and setting goals and managing a team of people that had different disciplines under one roof, like in a hotel. And if we were all trying to get to one ultimate goal, there's a lot of different ways to get to that ultimate goal. But as long as everybody ends up in the same place, does it really matter how everybody got there? Right? If like think about like if you're driving to, in your case, if you're driving to Edinburgh, there's a lot of ways to get there.
Yeah.
Right? Does it matter what road you take? I mean, as long as you get to Edinburgh, it doesn't really matter. And all you know is that that's the final destination, beginning with the end in mind. And that is probably, for me personally, has been the one habit that completely transformed my ability to not just like work in operations, but to lead a team. And even as I've stepped back from having a traditional W-2 job and have been an entrepreneur now for about a year, being able to define where I want things to go and then putting the steps in place to get there has kept me on track so that I'm not just kind of flailing all over the place every day.
It's interesting also if you just take it into the current situation where there's like almost a fear of planning. And then I had a conversation earlier this week where I said, well, don't talk about planning like an action plan you're doing. Like it's about setting that vision from where you want to take this, because your circle of influence, he also talks about in being proactive, it's much bigger than you think. But if people know there is a destination, it's much easier to start leading that way. And that goes both for your team, but also for you as an individual. Because if you don't know where your destination is, or you have a dream destination, maybe it's not going to go that way. But just that you start walking down the line, take the journey to Edinburgh, you may be going to meet something on the way that's much better, or it's much better decision for you right now. And it's okay. because and then maybe later you will get to Edinburgh. I think also it's radical accepting that your circle of influence and somehow is limited, but you can do a lot of things. And I think it starts with you. And Stephen Covey talks about the first 3 habits. It's a lot about getting yourself in place. And I think that's what people can do right now. There's a lot of things you can't control. You can't control what governments do. You can't control what the pandemic do, but you can keep yourself in a good place and work on that every day. If that's, your fitness, whatever it is, you want to get better at, you want to learn some new stuff, do a little bit every day. Because that will take you in the right direction. That proactiveness will give you fuel to move ahead, because that will give you small wins, which I think is very, but you can influence much more than you think.